Hi, I'm Mary Baca in Albuquerque, New Mexico, doing my podcast Remotely Unique. And this show today starts a series dedicated to horses and their amazingness. Specifically, we're bringing myself and Hoof Heroes here in Albuquerque and my nonprofit called For the Love of Equine are bringing a documentary to Albuquerque in March 6th, 2026, called Rescued Hearts. And I want to just read what the Rescued Hearts is about. I want to take it straight from the filmmaker's mouth because I don't want to twist their words, or I just want it to come across pure. So the inspiration behind Rescued Hearts is a powerful documentary that explores the profound and often miraculous connection between humans and horses, inspired by a life-changing moment when a 7-year-old child diagnosed with autism spoke his first words while integrating with the horse. Filmmakers Dana Crocher and Krishana Sexton set out to uncover the deeper meaning behind the extraordinary bond. Through deeply moving personal stories, expert insights, and heart-based research, the film explores how horses offer a space where healing and transformation can unfold, a space where healing is never one-sided. Rescued Hearts isn't just the story of horses, it's the story of all of us, offering an invitation for deeper connection with ourselves, each other, and all of nature. And I'll tell you, I went to Sedona back in June of 2025, and I went and saw this documentary, and I didn't realize how much I was going to be moved by the documentary, by the filmmakers, by the energy of the room with the people attending. And I was so inspired by that film that I came back and I started the nonprofit For the Love of Equine. I started doing equine assisted coaching with June Stanley and her amazing herd in Edgewood, New Mexico. Worked with her and spent time with her herd for about 5 or 6 months, I think 5 months. And it just is amazing. And now I'm going through my equine assisted psychotherapy, or equine assisted learning, training, and certification with Jackie Laco, who's with Sky Therapy Solutions. And she's my first guest on today intentionally. I chose her. I'm learning so much from her. And, when I chose a program to go through, a certification, I looked a lot. There's a lot of programs out there. And somehow, Jackie and I, the first time I met her was on video because that's how she rolls, right? Like that's how her program goes. When you're going to apply, she meets you in person, video wise, and then everything just kind of rolls from there. But from the very beginning, it's been a top-notch program. I feel like we've established a relationship. Like, I ended up with a friend, and a mentor, not just a program. And I really, really appreciate that. Like if I need advice on something, all I have to do is text her or email her and she'll get back to me, as busy as she is. Because this woman, if you think I'm busy, for those of you that know me, this woman is super busy. But I got the opportunity as part of the certification to go out, fly out to Arizona, stay in her beautiful home, which is part of the program that she offers. And her husband, Chris, were just so accommodating. They were the best hostesses. I mean, I felt like I was at home the whole time I was there. She's bringing her horses, Coral Sky and Fiji and Zale. And your dog's name is, tell me.
Brief.
Breeze. Okay. And
Yeah,
so she has like the family there. I think there's one dog missing, but she's going to go into her
yeah.
model. She created her own model, a Chris model. And truly, truly, I really mean by all the models that I've looked at, they're all great. All the trainings are great. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I loved her the most. And that's why I've invested the time and the money to do her program specifically. So I'm going to turn it over to her. And I want to, I want people to get an idea what is equine assisted psychotherapy and equine assisted learning or coaching. And then she's going to do like kind of a sample session because I know probably a lot of you, like me initially, wanted to know what does a session even look like with these amazing beings. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Jackie, and let you do your thing. And then I'll ask questions if I haven't.
Well, hi. So I'm here, with my family. We don't have kids, so these are my kids, my dogs, my horses right here. And the horses do have a choice to be here and enjoy to hang out with us on our lunch break. But what equine assisted psychotherapy is, it's a model of experiential learning, which is now scientifically backed because we do have some research studies actually justifying equine assisted psychotherapy as an effective treatment. So it's all mostly on the ground activities with horses. A lot of our models, especially mine in the Icarus model, the horses are at liberty, which means they're free roaming. They have a choice to engage or not. At our facility, we have open gates, so the horses are able to go back to their stalls, pasture. They're able to be with the clients if they choose. The biggest thing about equine assisted therapy is there's so many names to it. So there's equine assisted therapy, which is done by a licensed practitioner, where we can diagnose, we can assess, we can treat anything in mental health. So your PTSD, bipolar, autism, anxiety. And then there's therapeutic riding, which a lot of people also call horse therapy. And that's more of like a physical therapy modality where physical therapists do hippotherapy with the clients riding the horse. And then therapeutic riding is you obtain a certification and you can do kind of physical therapy and activities with the client on the horse too. Equine assisted, some people do a riding model where there's a little bit of riding in it, but our model is all on the ground. We want the horses to have choices. We want the horses to act the most natural they can. But it's a really powerful form of therapy that I've been practicing since 2011, since I was licensed. Prior to that, I did equine assisted coaching for about a year to get some experience and to shadow and mentor some beautiful mentors I had back then. But it works so beautifully to help clients understand, what they're putting into the world and what they're hiding and when they're being authentic and when they're not being authentic. And then when people actually realize they're not being authentic, a lot of change can happen. That insight-oriented treatment is so important. But it's just a very easy, trauma-sensitive, invitational language practice because we're not sitting there in an artificial environment. We're outside, we're using the environment, we're engaging with the horses because we never use therapy animals. We always engage with them. It's very invitational. And we're seen as a therapist or the practitioner, we're seen as very safe to the client or comfortable, if safe is not a good word for the client, because the animals trust us. So right away, we can jump in and kind of have rapport a little faster than if you're doing office-based work.
Yes, I know. One of the things is they provide this safe and powerful environment. And what I've seen I've had clients of my own that I've seen for counseling for a long time. And the transformation that's occurred when we do equine assisted is just, I mean, there's no comparison. Even the clients themselves say, and they've been able to make powerful breakthroughs that, I don't know would have happened if I just kept doing even EMDR, even with EMDR, which I believe so profoundly in, the horses have been able to provide something different than that. Yeah,
And it's beautiful because, we're partnering with nature. We're outside. We're doing something that's not, artificial. And office space has so much value. But when I was doing research, when I started doing dolphin assisted therapy years ago, over a decade ago, we learned about animal assisted therapy studies. And we found in one of the studies that three office-based sessions are equivalent to one animal assisted session. So that was
I
really
saw you
neat.
write that somewhere and I was like, wow, that's profound. That's
Yeah, it was
amazing.
it was amazing. So yes, it is a bit more pricey. Yes, it is kind of more intensive because it's not we can't offer it virtual very easily. It is in person. It is out at a farm or on a horse property. But I think it's really worth it for the right client because not all clients are a good fit for equine, and they
Right.
might think they are. So we always do 3 trial sessions to make sure we're a good fit as a clinician, and then the client is within our scope of competency because you don't want to provide it that says I can fix and treat everything. And I'm not
Right.
fixing my clients. I'm helping them to feel better and kind of like heal themselves.
Right. Well, and I believe people really have the answers in themselves. And so the
Mhm.
environment that we provide for them, provides safety and, unconditional acceptance and all of that, that positivity just allows them to find those answers for themselves. And then the horses just amplify that because they hold no judgment. Animals, not even just horses, right? Because dogs are the same way too. They hold no judgment. But what led you to develop the Icarus model?
So I have loved, incorporating animals my whole entire life. We weren't really able to afford dogs growing up with a single mom who was kind of like a secretary. So I always volunteered, tried to be with horses, dogs, do anything I could. And then when I was in my master's for my undergraduate program, I started volunteering at an equine rescue and I started volunteering at a hippotherapy program called Safe Havens Equine Rescue and Safe Havens, no, Therapy Coastal Therapeutic Riding Center in North Carolina. This was back in 2005 or 2006. And then I got on the board of directors for the therapeutic riding program, and I just loved it. But I just found that the therapeutic riding was so taxing for the horses. You know, it was really hard, and we had to have so many volunteers to run a session, and it just didn't feel like we could get deep enough. So I decided to go to my master's in counseling, move out west where I knew that this field was a lot more well received versus in North Carolina, which is the South, and they didn't have a whole lot of these programs at the time. So I moved out here, initially got trained in a really big model of equine assisted therapy. At the time, there was only PATH, which was called by a different name back then, and EGALA. So this was back in 2010. So I got trained in one of the big models, and it was a big, huge group setting, and there was no follow-up. So I received this manual. I think I trained 2 weekends, and I didn't have a whole lot of follow-up. And I was one out of 3 practitioners in my area that were doing equine assisted psychotherapy as licensed practitioners. So it was beautiful, but it was just very limited. So when I started doing my own thing, I started building a sensory-based attachment model that goes a little bit slower. Horses are always free roaming. It's very invitational language. There's a lot of trauma sensitive language in it as well. And the interventions are all designed to be very open-ended, letting the horse kind of lead. And I found that clinicians really needed somewhere to start. So they wanted concrete activities to start with, and then kind of let the horses lead the rest. So I started forming activities. And then in 2020, I decided to launch my own model. Prior to that, I was just teaching my employees. But then I decided to launch in 2020 when we all had a lot of time on our hands. So I launched it then and started training people just slowly, 5 per year, really slowly. And then in 2022, I actually released my manual. So the Icarus Model Manual is for sale. It's about 76 pages and has 32 interventions. But
And
a
I
lot of
love it.
practitioners wanted
It's full
something.
of all these gems, that are easy to use and they're all interesting. And then to see them in motion is just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I had a lot of people critique it. So I had some of the best, some of my mentors, Dr. Risa Van Fleet, Dr. Susie Fay. So many beautiful people have helped me along the way. And I wanted to make sure the manual was very specific, had photos, has process questions, has case note examples, who to use it best with, but also has disclaimers about the horse, why we engage the horse and don't use them, best practices of the field. So I've been really lucky to teach this model in an attachment-based method, really uses our using our senses to connect to the world. Now, it has a background in sensory motor psychology, which is kind of a newer coined term where we work a lot with the body and how the body processes information. We do specialize in cellular trauma or pre-verbal trauma. So that goes really well with equine because we're kind of healing things that the person didn't know that they experienced, but their body or their cells know that they experienced. And we love to incorporate the polyvagal nervous system and sensory integration. So those are kind of the theoretical models or perspectives behind our model.
I think that's
And
great,
the
and that so it's trauma informed.
It is, yes. So we've been trauma trained for 15 years. And the biggest thing I wanted about my model is to teach you one-on-one. I want to teach you one-on-one for 20 hours. I want to stay on for a full year to make sure you're feeling good, you
Well,
have support. Mhm.
that's the thing about your program, and when I went through that, I mean, I had your full attention, like for the few days that I was there. I mean, from the time you picked me up at the airport to the time you dropped me off, to come back to New Mexico, like I had your full attention, and you were just be dropping these little gems of wisdom, and I could tell that you were very passionate about not only the whole field and about horses, but about teaching and mentoring, and I learned so much and still continue to learn so much from you. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Well, I started as a teacher. I did teaching for about a year for special needs kids at an autism program, and that helped
Uh-huh.
me to understand different learners. So that's why I like to teach it one-on-one. And then I also like to
Mm.
have the group as well. My international consultation group I run is included for 6 months in the price. So you guys get included in the price that one-on-one mentorship, and then also the full year. So I wanted to really give people time to ask questions and grow, right? And feel good about their
Not
practice.
just train somebody, bring them in, train them in a group where, people are not going to ask the same questions that they will individually, and then send them on their way. It's like the quality of your program, I got to tell you, is just
Oh.
really, it's amazing the quality of your program, because there really is that relationship. In the international group, I really loved attending and hearing all the other, equine specialists and equine assisted psychotherapists, talk and share. That's been super valuable too, from all over the world, no less.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
wanted to make it inclusive to coaches too, because I really do think we can
Yeah.
learn a lot from equine assisted learning and coaches. I really don't want to just have it be inclusive to psychotherapists or licensed clinicians, because I think so many other people offer value. And we do have the Icarus model in some school systems to help the kiddos there.
Yeah, well, and I like the flexibility because I am an equine assisted psychotherapist and a coach. I have a coaching business for different reasons. Coaching is nice. I don't have to deal with all the insurance companies and all of that stuff, and yeah, so I appreciate that you give the opportunity for both of those avenues through your training. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you want to take it out you want to introduce your horses and
Yes. So we have Breeze right here, which I'll ask to get off my lap, little lap surfer. And I'm going to walk out here. Oh, we have Zale laying down. So it's kind of beautiful in my eyes. Whenever you see a horse lay down, I just feel like it's magical, and I always have.
mm, mhm.
My horses lay down at different times because it's comfortable or they feel safe. Sometimes it's profound when they lay down in a session. It really means that the client is letting go, depending upon which horse was the one that laid down, because every horse does things in different ways that indicate different things. We have Coral Sky. She is my head mare. So mare means girl in horse language. And she is incredibly powerful and just beautiful, sweet, incredibly sensitive. So she loves working with people on grief and anxiety, anxiety is what we specialize as my agency, and neurodiverse affirmative care as well. And then Fiji. So Fiji is kind of sleeping right behind her. He is a Palomino back here, and he loves working with people with trauma and little kids. He's really drawn to them. And then my little sleeper over here, my little mini, he loves everybody. I feel like he always wants to be in the sessions. He's always really, really chipper. He doesn't seem to take on some of the strong emotions that my other horses might have to take on and take a break from. So it's really nice to have a mix in my herd. And a lot of people ask, what horses or what breeds are the best. Every horse can be a great therapy horse. They just have to like the job. They have to like their interactions. They have to enjoy humans. So I've had horses that love it, and I've had horses that don't like it. And in my program, I make sure that the horses you're engaging enjoy the work. So we kind of do that
would
as
you
part of
say
the
too, like
certification
even the
program.
day, I know in your manual or in our discussion, something you talk about how it's important, like for each session, to, touch base with the horse, make sure like how are they doing that day? Because maybe that day isn't a particularly good day for them. Can you speak to that?
Yes. So what I teach, so I'm a trained body worker, equine body worker, and I've had a lot of time following vets and things like that. So just really understanding the horse's behavior is a big piece of my model that I train you guys based on the level that you need training in. I'm never going to train somebody who already knows a lot about horse behavior, but we like to assess them before. So I want to see if there's any areas in their body that's sensitive. I might do a body scan on the horse before I, engage them in sessions that day. I feed my horses and I'm with them before sessions, so I know who's eating, who's not eating, who's acting a little bit funny. I can tell by the manure piles, in the arena or the pasture if the horses aren't feeling good. You always want to be very, very aware because it could be physical or it could be emotional as to why they're not feeling so great. And then you want to keep an eye on them. Sometimes horses want to engage in the sessions, but they really shouldn't that day because they're just too emotional or something's going on. Just like when Mary, you came out, Fiji needed to take a break from the session. So we were like,
Right.
let's just give him some hay in his stall. All my horses have access to free choice hay, but we went ahead and gave him some extra hay in his stall and just let him sit out so we could kind of take a break. And right there, Coral's really releasing. She's like,
I
Mom
was
gets a
going to
little
ask
nervous
you.
at interviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So I started to feel better now that I'm standing up, a little less nervous. So she's kind of releasing, I think, my stress and she's
Notice
blinking
how
and
she
really
she does
in.
love the camera, like you were saying, because she has not moved from that spot, you know?
Yes, no, she loves it. Whenever I do Zoom, sometimes I will do virtual sessions with people. She's right there with them. And Dr.
Yeah.
Susie Fay is one of my mentors. We do sessions together and Coral is right there. Yes.
Yeah. So wonderful you're heard. You're so
Thank you.
amazing. Yeah, they were so welcoming and then just themselves too, which is beautiful too to see, just them being their authentic self. Zale participated a lot when I was out there. Zale has the most beautiful blue eyes. Oh my gosh, that
Does.
horse. Yeah.
Hi, little guy. Hi, little snoozer. How are you? He's just sunbathing in this winter sun.
So what might a typical session look like for those who have never had this kind of service?
So what we do is first we engage the client behind the bars from the horses. So the client will be in the barn, they'll kind of be looking at the horses through the bars, through the stalls, and we just gauge their comfort level. And then if they'd like to, they can start interacting with the mini horse at Liberty in the arena. So we might just engage the mini horse and see how their comfort level is. And if the other horses come in and engage, I'm always with the client, and the client always has closed-toed shoes on just to make sure they're safe footwear wise. And we see where they'd like to go. So in the beginning, some clients just want to hang out with the horses. As we progress in the model, we'll start doing activities. So it's all ground-based activities with some cones that I have out here, some emoji balls, any little thing that you can find that's horse safe or horse approved from Goodwill or some of the centers. We might set up what I like to do is cone timeline. That's my favorite. That's the first one I ever created in the Icarus model,
I
where
love
I
that
put
one
cones
too.
out based on your life. So you'd put maybe a birth cone out. You'd put maybe another cone for like when I first started riding a horse, maybe some big events in my life, like my parents' divorce, or when I moved somewhere, or when I had my first big injury in a car accident. So I put some exciting events and some not exciting events. We don't like to call them good and bad events, obviously. And then we might even put a couple emoji balls out. And what happens is the client builds this, and then the horses come out and they'll provide feedback by licking, chewing, avoiding the cones, stomping the cones, based on what they feel is going on in that moment. So the beauty of this session is every single client I've ever work with, they put a birth cone down. And my horses always get stuck on the birth cone if something happened at their birth. And in 15 years, my horses have never been wrong. And sometimes the little kids I work with, because I work with kids and adults, they don't know. So I walk them out of the car and at the end and say, Hey, were there any problems when so and so was born? And the parents are always like, Oh my gosh, yes, she was breached. Or, Oh my gosh, we didn't know if she's going to make it. There was a heart concern, but when she was born, she was fine. So the horses always get stuck on the birth cone, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. And it doesn't mean that they're fortune tellers. It means that the horse is so in tune with the energy and what happened when you're putting that emotion and that time on the cone. They're trying to help your body kind of resolve it. Because if you were stressed when you were
What
born,
does
that's
that mean?
pre-verbal trauma.
Can you also just explain for the people, for the viewers, what getting stuck on means? Like, what might a horse do behaviorally that you're referring to with
Yeah, so
regard
my
to
horse is
getting
just
stuck on the cones?
they just stand right there and they won't
Yeah.
progress. They won't move. They'll just literally plant right here at
Mhm.
that cone and be stuck on it. And then the client's like, no, come on, play with me or go to the next cones. Why doesn't the horse want to go into the rest of my life? So then we talk about it. And sometimes the client is able to release maybe that pre-verbal trauma. And then my horses will start walking to the next cone. They'll also avoid cones that you wanted to avoid in your life too. And they might play with cones that were like a fun time in your life as well. And they might destroy or bite or rip or move cones that they did not, that the client did not want in their life at that time. So all kinds of really cool feedback.
Yeah. All kinds of behaviors that are so interesting to watch and and just kind of analyze, right?
And right there, you kind of saw how Coral put her ears back and told Fiji, you're kind of in my space. I need some more space. And he backed up a teeny tiny bit, but she kind of had to be really big to do that. So we talk about horse behavior with the clients too, because they don't always know what the ears back means or kind of when the horse like shoos another horse away. So it's really neat to do that, to see how nonverbal the horses are and how amazingly they can communicate without words.
I really love one of the books that you have us buy for the program, for the Icarus model program, Horse Language, I think it's what it's called. That's a
Language,
great
signs,
book.
and calming signals of horses, the green one.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, that's a beautiful book. And I'm trying to think, I think Dr. Risa Van Fleet recommended that to me. I think a friend of hers wrote it. It's beautiful because it talks about the equine shifts and how we
Yes.
look at tension in their jaw and we look at them blinking. And right now you can see the veins in Coral's head, which indicates she's doing a lot of thinking right now. She's really
And the
focusing on
book
her
gives a
brain.
lot of pictures, which is great, right?
Yeah.
Because you have the visual and you have the written to help you understand that whole concept of, yeah, just their language, their body language and their
Oh,
language.
so now we
Oh,
have little man. He's up and
there's
he's playing with
Zale.
my birth cone.
Ah,
And I did have birth trauma. So he is playing with kind of stuck on my birth cone. And he decided to play with this little mat. Oh, the emoji ball. Oh, the sad emoji ball he's playing with. And he's also playing with the little sniffer mat that we have out for him. And see how the horse is enjoying engaging. He's playing, he's pawing, he's enjoying the horse-friendly tools and enrichment items.
yes.
And then he just knocked over my birth cone. So let's see. I'll kind of invite him to my second cone. Oh, parents divorced. Yeah. So this was the parents divorce cone. So he's going to push it out of the timeline. And I have a confused emoji right there. Yeah. And then he's done. So he's really
Mm,
fixated on the birth cone and he's
mm,
chosen to be done with it. So for him right now, there was a lot. It was a lot to go through, the traumatic birth and then also come up to the divorce cone. He didn't quite make it to the other part of my life, where I put like some really exciting events. He decided that's
mhm.
enough for him. And with a client, we would just kind of process that as far as psychotherapy goes. If it were equine assisted coaching or learning, you don't do the processing because we leave that to the mental health specialists. The equine assisted learning is more for understanding kind of the future and goals and where to go from here.
Right. So that's where sometimes psychotherapy and coaching work really well together. I know at my agency, we've done that together before, and the two really complement each other nicely.
Yes, yes. And it's great, with equine assisted coaching or learning, I feel like those people have so much value to bring. You just as a consumer, you want to vet the person who you are getting, who's providing your services. You want to make sure You have personal recommendations from them because they can have amazing certifications and training on paper, and you can verify that, but might not be a match for you. And a lot of
Yes.
coaches are saying that they do work with PTSD. And I don't disagree with that because they could be a retired therapist, or they could also be somebody who has extensive trauma training experience but doesn't have a license. So it's really just personal recommendations and then making sure that person's been around for a little while.
Right. Ask those questions, right? So that you're not just
Yeah.
assuming. Yeah, some people can look really good on paper, but yeah, they don't really live up to that, which can be concerning. That's a part about coaching, is coaching isn't board regulated, but at
Yeah.
least if somebody's been through some training, somebody has kind of checked them out, right? And taught them some things. So, yeah. Same like with counseling. There's good counselors and counselors that still need development.
Yeah. And it's also, we're not always a good fit for every human. So that's why I offer the 3 trial sessions, because I really want to make sure that I'm a really good fit for my clients and I'm working within my scope of competency. Like I said, I only do anxiety and divergent clients. That's what our agency strives to do. We only work with pure O, which is a form of OCD. We don't work with contamination OCD. So we really stay in our lane.
Mhm. I think that's super important. What are you
It's so
picking
key.
up from them right now, from the
So
horses?
Coral is pretty agitated by the flies. I didn't think they'd be this bad, so I left her fly mask off. And she's wanting me to
Oh,
scratch her. So she's really itchy right now. She's really wanting me to scratch her, which is why her head's up and she's kind of leaning into me to scratch her. Fiji, let's see what Fiji wants. Fiji's snoozing, so I'm going to just talk to him as I walk up
mm,
and then just see if he wants a little bit of scratching or a little bit of time together. I always like to do consensual touch. So if my horses are leaning into me or want some touch, I'll touch them. But I don't just go up and touch them right away. And I teach my clients this as well, because that's a really big topic right now, consensual touch, right?
right. And that's a good way to teach a client
Hi.
boundaries also, which tends to be a
Yeah.
big issue with people, depending on their life experience, for sure.
And horses are very powerful with teaching boundaries. They have to, they need to have boundaries to stay safe within the herd. And that's the beauty of the horses being prey animals and teaching us is they have to be able to tell what the predators are thinking, feeling, what's going on in order to be safe. And we don't see horses as mirrors. Horses aren't reflecting back stuff to us. Horses are co-regulating with us. They're trying to make sure we're all regulated so we can all be safe and healthy together.
Mm, yeah. How's the weather been out there?
It is beautiful. It's been 70s all week, maybe 50, I'd say like 40s at night, 50s morning, 70s during the day. We love it. My horses thrive in this weather, minus the flies this year. They're really bad, despite all the fly control we do.
So what's your season look like in terms of work months and play months? And I know you travel and do workshops other places, and talk a little bit about the other stuff you do.
I do. So I am trained in somatic yoga. So I'm a trained yoga professional and I incorporate internal family systems into my yoga work. But I also do retreats. So I love teaching retreats, leading retreats all around the country. And I also go to different destinations to teach the Icarus model. I only travel May through September when we don't have the greatest weather out here. So I do work doing equine assisted therapy and the other work and training people in town from October all the way through early May. And then I'll offer to do about 3 or 4 trainings somewhere else over the summer. If somebody books me in advance, whether it's a workshop, whether it's a full Icarus model series. And then the retreats that I offer are always in different countries on islands. So we're looking at trying to do one in Peru. Really excited to potentially lead one in Costa Rica next summer. This summer we have teaching somatic healing yoga in Antigua, and then we have a consulting that we're doing in Bermuda with a girl who does equine assisted psychotherapy out there. So we have a lot of really fun things coming up, and we work.
It
I
sounds
try to
like
give the horses at least 2 months off of the year.
for sure your schedule is full. Your
Yes.
life is full, which is awesome, right? Like, you're doing something you love Why do you love what you're doing? Why do you love equine assisted psychotherapy and teaching and mentoring other people?
I've always loved teaching. When teaching didn't work out for me as far as a full-time job to support my lifestyle and challenge me mentally, I really wanted to go above and beyond and do something that other people weren't doing. And I wanted to do it differently. I wanted to meet the client where they're at and do everything that they needed holistically to help them. So I have, you know, training in homeopathy and I am supervised by a doctor. So I can help clients with, do you have the MTHFR mutation? Do you need more magnesium? Really light supplementation to help the client balance their whole body. And I'm really passionate about mixing science with healing too. So I love doing research, and we have conducted 3 research studies on the Icarus model, but they were confounded because some extraneous variables we had with kids. And if you're a researcher, you'll understand working with kids and getting the clinical studies are really hard. So we have one more in the works right now that we're doing mixing adults and kids too. But yeah, I love the power of animals, but I also want to do something that I would love and that I wouldn't get bored doing. So the horses, the yoga, I always want to have fun and be moving. So that was big in my practice. That's why I started with kids, because I could do play therapy and then I could do animals and all kinds of interesting stuff.
Yeah, you've done and are doing so much, and I can only imagine what you have on the plate for plans for upcoming future. So it's amazing. Anything you want to say in closing?
Yes. No, just if you're interested in the field, yeah, look up equine assisted psychotherapy or equine assisted therapy. There's a few different names for it. Equine assisted coaching or equine assisted learning. The Icarus model, we love training new people. We do a 1 hour interview Zoom meeting just to make sure I'm a good fit. And if I'm not, I'll refer you to a program that is, because I do have a lot of research and connections with other programs that I could refer you to. So it's just finding a good program that's a good fit for you. And horses are amazing. So you really need some horse experience before I train you as well, because I want the horses to be safe, but I also want you and your clients to be safe too. And Mary,
Yes.
thank you. You were amazing to train. I love making friends all over the country. And I love just having these beautiful spiritual connections with you guys too.
I know it's great. It's been so great to connect with you, and I look forward to getting to know you even more throughout the year. To know that I
Yes. Oh, I
have
can't wait.
to know that the program offers like opportunity for a year is like incredible, because then I feel like, okay, you can kind of follow me as I develop and grow, right? It's not just
Yeah.
like a one and done, okay, 2 days, 3 days, and you're out. And that's something I really like about your program too, is it really gives an opportunity for me to grow and have you as that mentor, that support system. And that's just amazing. Thank you so much for what you do.
Yeah.